it's very strange to me that, again, Treyarch has to come in and be like, we'll save the day again with our COD. And we have to go back-to-back years and be rushed because the following year couldn't put Omni movement in.
The last couple of CODs, MW2 and MW3, especially MW3, they lost a lot of fans. I think a lot of people were just totally done with them because they were clearly just trying to cash in on the name. And it seemed like the effort that was put forth was pretty trash.
The people that play COD a lot, like you and I, we're going to take the time to learn how to play the game and get better at it so it doesn't matter. Welcome everyone to episode 220 of the COD Casuals. We're your hosts, Justin.
And I'm Mike.
How you doing, Mike?
Doing good, bro. I'm chilling. You know what I'm saying? Beautiful day, bro.
Great day. Nice
as
and warm
always,
out.
As always. Absolutely.
Summer is here.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the spring weather's here.
Yeah, dude. I'm back today, this whole week now. Nice vacation. Didn't do shit, really, which was nice. But someone said today, 34 days. That's brother. You can't even understand the mood that put me in. I'm over here still thinking we have like 70 something days. I'm like, oh, bro, we got we still got like this month, and we've got May, and then we still have June. They're like, no, dude, we don't actually have a lot of time. I'm like, you're right.
Yeah.
So,
and for the people that are like relatively new, you're coming off a spring break because you're a teacher.
Yes, yeah.
People that don't know. But yeah, you got Memorial Day weekend too coming up.
I know, dude. It's coming up. And I've got I've got so many sick days that I'm starting to use those up. I'm like, bro, why not? So yeah, doing good, man. I mean, we had a good weekend of matches. We'll talk about those later. And yeah, I mean, I'm chilling. How about you, bro?
I'm doing pretty good. We've had really nice weather besides like the weekend though. I feel like I hope it's not like last year where it's beautiful all week and then it gets to the weekend and it's just rain.
Dude,
and I'm afraid of that.
I'm telling you, man, every Saturday. So I work on Saturdays doing guitar in the morning it's like 10 to 4. And every time, I swear, on Saturdays, it's raining. Every time.
Yeah. It's
like we never get a day where I wake up and it's nice and sunny and I'm like, let's go to work. It'll be nice. I'm be in a good mood. It's always I wake up, I don't want to get up because it's dreary and rainy. It puts me in such a bad mood.
Yeah.
And I just feel wet. I'm like, oh,
it stinks because most people have the weekends off.
Yeah, I know.
Like that, they work the 5 days, whatever, and then you get your weekends, but then your weekends are just rain and cold. And yet Sunday, like, it was just really windy and like colder than it has been. It was like in the 50s, but super windy. And then today, 73 right now and sunny. Okay, and it's gonna be like that all week. And then I looked at the weather, at least around here, supposed to rain on Saturday. I'm like, no way, man.
No shot,
dude,
bro.
It better change. I swear to God.
Yeah, dude. For us, 45% chance on Friday, Saturday, 70. Dude, Sunday, 65. It's chalked.
It's crazy. And then next week, it's gonna be sunny again.
Yeah.
Just all week, the work week.
Yeah, dude. I literally just, you can't catch a break. You really can't. Sometimes it's good, and then other times, I just check it and I lose it. I get so pissed because, like you said, that I have the only day I really don't work at all is Sunday. And, on day off, dude, I definitely like to just go and game and like do nothing. So it's like, okay, I'll get up doing laundry all day and then I'm just gaming. But then if there's a nice day out, I'm like, I'm a little inspired to go out and do something,
Yeah. I just want to step outside at least. Like, I'm inside I know. All day during work.
Yeah, no, I hear that for you. That's got to be tough because you're, like I said, just always inside.
Yeah. It sucks. And then you see outside and it's just sunny. Yeah, I mean, when I'm working from home, it's nice because I get to go outside and like do the walks with the dog.
Right.
But it's still like that's not enough, especially on the weekends. Like if I know I'm not working, I want to be outside for a little bit. That's, just to chill or whatever.
Yeah.
Regardless, though, it's been nice. Besides the weather or the weekend,
we still do this every episode just for that one guy, just to spite him. That's why
he's just not listening anymore.
Yeah, bro. I'll make sure to put a timestamp in just for him to be like weather talk and then
Yeah,
talk about Call of
but
Duty.
to be honest, though, we've been pretty quick the past couple episodes. We're not
That's
going.
like
Let's just go long.
this is 4 minutes. This is 4 minutes.
Yeah.
We could
Um.
go and yap out about global warming and the whole effect
Oh
that it's
yeah.
having on everything.
But no, the main thing we want to talk about is so COD rumors. It's already happening. I think 2 or 3 episodes ago we were talking about COD 2025 and the rumors how it's Omnimovement and Treyarch is making it again, and we were skeptical about that. Now there's more rumors coming out about from Charlie Intel, who's uh, pretty reliable, I would say, but
Mhm.
obviously this is far away. But COD 2026, so not this year's release of Treyarch's COD, next year's release. There are some rumors that dropped where Omnimovement will not be in the game, but it will be in this year's game. So
Right.
that was one of the big topics. I don't know how you feel about that because I have opinions about it.
Okay, yeah, I get confused at first, and I was glad that the flank mentioned this too because I always mix up the fact that this year's COD, the one that's coming out next, Black Ops 7 that they rumored, which we'll have to talk about that too,
Yeah,
is 2025's COD.
yeah.
So it's gonna
This
be
year's 2024
after.
COD.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So it's gonna be after the next one that we're gonna have. Um, yeah, the fact that they're getting rid of Omni movement for 2026, I don't like it. I think they should stick with Omni movement personally. I think the idea of going back to jetpacks and having that kind of movement is probably never going to happen, which is a real shame because that's probably one of my favorite eras of Call of Duty. But I think Treyarch hit a home run with the Omni movement. It was a great addition to the game, and I don't really see many people complain about it. There can definitely be additions to it, and I think that's what they should do going forward. Leave it to Treyarch to make like an amazing innovation on the game. And for another developer to just want to say, screw that, we're not doing it, and then have to go and probably change the movement with Warzone as well and have this whole problem again. I just don't see the point of it. I think they should totally stick to Omni movement going forward.
yeah. I have a feeling that the developer was like, "We're a couple of years deep into this game already. What do you mean we have like we can't just put Omni movement into it?" Um, and then it also makes me suspicious why. Which I'm not complaining about this, but we're going back to back years with Treyarch. That doesn't happen usually. And the closest thing that we've had was MW2 to MW3, and that was practically the same game, but slightly improved. And now we're doing it again, but literally with the same developer. So, like, okay, was Treyarch rushed or something because the 2026 game wasn't ready? Or, that's a whole separate discussion, but that just made me lead to that question.
Well, I don't know why they're doing this in the first place because it always used to be the rotation, whatever that rotation was.
Mhm.
It would be like IW. Well, it used to be back in the day. It would be just Treyarch, Infinity Ward, and then that was the cycle. But then I think it was around. Um, was Raven was in MW3, right? Like
Yeah.
the OG
OG,
MW3.
yeah.
Yeah. Um,
But they weren't a full developer, I think, they're just helping Sledgehammer.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And then at some point, I think in around Ghosts is when they stepped in, or like another developer came in, and that's where now we've had. Well, there are four of them, right? Are they all separate,
I
or
think
is it still like they're supporting? Like I'm thinking, Sledgehammer and Raven. Was it Raven that I'm
yeah,
talking about?
Raven. Yeah,
Yeah,
Raven Software.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure Raven just helps all 3 developers or mid but, I mean, again, I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure they're still on their 3-year cycle. It's Infinity Ward, Sledgehammer, and Treyarch. And then Raven has always helped out with like Sledgehammer and Infinity Ward and Treyarch.
Yeah, so like I won't jump into it, but like talking about, I think it's in for COD 2025. In the article that I'd pulled up, they were saying that Raven was supporting Treyarch in making the campaign.
Mhm.
So they announced saying that Raven was explicitly the lead developer on the story campaign, and Treyarch was partnering with them.
So
You know,
they've got their toes like dipped in every.
Right.
developer.
Yeah, that's what
Which,
I'm
yeah,
assuming.
I mean, and it's not based on that. At least it's only the campaign, which whatever, that's fine. Treyarch always bangs with multiplayer, but besides the point, uh, it's very strange to me that again Treyarch has to come in and be like, "We'll save the day again with our COD," and we have to go back to back years and be rushed
And
because this COD the following year couldn't put Omni movement in.
right, and then they every year too, Treyarch just gets blasted, like, people are already still hating on they didn't like Cold War, and then they were hating on Black Ops 6, it's like they always find something, but they're always put Treyarch is in these bad positions,
Yeah,
where,
horrible
to your
position.
point, they have to go and rush things, or, I get the idea of what they do, and I'm sure they have in other causes, just haven't paid as much attention to it, where they'll go and allocate, okay, story, you guys can handle this. We'll go and oversee it, but we really want you to do most of the legwork on this because we want to spend time on multiplayer or zombies or whatever. But yeah, then you go and you hear about these complete disasters where Treyarch maybe isn't fully watching, and then something completely crumbles, you know? Um, and I think it's a problem. I don't know what's going on with these other developers because IW, when they went and did the last couple of CODs, MW2 and MW3. I mean, I think they, especially MW3, they lost a lot of fans. I think a lot of people were just totally done with them
Mhm.
because they were clearly just trying to cash in on the name, and it seemed like the effort that was put forth was pretty trash.
Mhm.
Um,
Well,
so
Sledgehammer, right? So yeah, Sledgehammer made
oh,
MW3,
Sledgehammer then, sorry, yeah.
but they,
Um,
they worked with Infinity Ward.
right, so it's like a lot of these developers, like, other than Treyarch, are getting a bad name because of the games that they put out, and
Mhm.
then at Treyarch, the only one that's our savior, they're now having to just, again, do constant work on these games, and I remember on our last episode, we talked about this regarding the quality of the game and what we're gonna get for Black Ops 7, if it's really gonna be living up to our expectations. Is it gonna be improving a lot on the foundation, or is it gonna be, you know, completely changed? And who knows? And then to think now these guys afterwards, after that COD, they're going to totally call it and go on to something else. Well, what is it? Is it going to be exactly like what we had in MW2 and MW3, just rehashed again, and it's going to be that movement? Like, I don't know. I want more innovation, and I want more like intrigue with this stuff. I think the flipping around all the time, it's like we're not flip-flopping into good things.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. No, you're because that's the thing. It's a double-edged sword where I feel like the good thing about COD is every year we get a new one, and every COD feels different. You know, with the movement to an extent. Until we went from like MW2 to MW3 was the first year where it felt so similar. It was basically the same thing, but faster. Which again, I was fine with. I think that's what everybody wanted in MW2 anyways. But now we're going from BO6 movement to BO7 movement. It's gonna be Omni movement again. Is it gonna be literally the same exact thing?
Right.
Or is it gonna be like maybe you're slightly slower? And like you're gonna feel the weight of it in the game, and we won't know until we play the game. Which again, I think that's fine. But to your point, we're moving from like from good things to bad things, and then maybe we'll go back to another bad thing.
Right.
And back in the day, I was perfectly fine being like boots on the ground, and then the following year we had jetpacks, and everybody like hated the jetpacks at the time. And then the year after that, we had jetpacks again, but like wall riding and you know slower jetpacks. And then after that, we went back to boots on the ground, but kept like the futuristic, feel. And then we truly went back to boots on the ground. And then they introduced boots on the ground with tax sprint. Like,
Right.
so if COD 2026 is all right, Omni movement's gone, I'm not going to say that's necessarily a bad thing, but it can't go back to like tax sprint.
Absolutely.
That's what it has to go back to. If it went back to regular COD, I'm cool with that.
Well, do you
But
think that COD is going through like an identity crisis right now?
I don't know what they're going through, dude. I have
Because
no
it's
idea.
it seems like that. They just
They're-
don't all these developers have their own idea of what COD should be, and because of this cycle, where you're
Mhm.
saying, and I'm sure that's part of it too, they've been working on this game for a while and have their idea of how it's gonna be developed. Then Treyarch, boom, comes out with a banger and is like, "Yeah, Black Ops 6, it's, again, I think it's a great game and the movement's great. Like we really innovated on what we've had in prior years." And they're like, huh? Now they
Mhm.
have to go and either change their game to play like that, or they're just going to stick with what they're going to do, which I'm sure it's that's going to be their plan.
Yeah,
Um, and
and
it's like, what is it? It could just be again complete trash like we've had in the couple of years. So yeah, I'm excited about Black Ops 6. Okay, playing it now. I got to go play the new one. Yep, it's just like MW3 basically. It's trash.
mhm.
And like I'm kind of sick and tired of doing that jumping around. Let's get an idea here for what we
Yeah,
want.
yeah, and honestly, I don't think it would be that bad jumping from like Omni movement to whatever the next one is if Warzone wasn't around.
Yeah,
Because the whole point of this is like, clearly they're revolving it around Warzone. They have to
absolutely.
integrate it. And pre-Warzone era, like I said, we went from like boots on the ground, jetpacks, slower jetpacks, back to boots on the ground. Um, and it was fine. I mean, obviously there was hate and stuff around it, but that was probably the most like fun you and I have had, like just jumping from year to year to COD.
Yeah.
There was a variety. And with Warzone now, are they going to get rid of Omni movement in 2026 and, you know, go to whatever the 2026 movement is, or are they going to keep Omni movement? And again, I like Omni movement, but I'm not totally opposed to going to a slower COD with no tax sprint. That like, could you imagine? Okay, a no tax sprint COD again. I feel like we haven't had one in years, like since Cold War 2021. Could you imagine Cold War with Omni movement?
It
No
would be
tax.
insane.
Yeah. Uh, Maybe a slightly slower Omni movement, and you're maybe. I don't mind the diving. Some people hate it.
Yeah, I think it's cool.
Some people enjoy it. It's whatever. But like, if they got rid of the diving, personally, I wouldn't care all that much. If they kept the sliding, that's fine with me too. Maybe a slower slide, whatever. But there's a lot of things that they can do with the movement to tweak it a little bit to where it'll feel like a totally different game again.
Yeah, absolutely. That's my point with it. Um, there's so much that they can do with this. They can make it crazier. They could make it way more simplified. There's a lot of different routes that they could go with it, and Treyarch laid the groundwork for it. I'm sure it was not something that was done, really quickly. I'm sure it took a long, long time to
No.
be able to get that figured out and working. Um, and I think honestly, every Treyarch game, I think they should just go forward with it. Um, why not? If other developers are not gonna like fall in line with it, and maybe their trepidation is because of Warzone, which of course is like the biggest problem. Um, right now that they're facing because all these developers, like, I mean, here you go, dude. They never had to go and allocate resources and other teams to help out as much back in the day. But I'm sure now Warzone, it's like way more work.
Mhm.
It's like just it's so much more on top of them, and probably because of the pressure that they have to like do well with Warzone,
Mhm.
because of how much of the player base is there. Um, but yeah, back when we were playing, it was just fun. You could go and switch between them, and it wasn't like you didn't think about it because these developers were putting all of their time into that. It was like that's all they focused on was multiplayer, and ranked if it had it.
Mhm.
Um, but now it's like, okay, I don't even know what the percentage breakdown is, but you hope it's like more on the multiplayer than Warzone. But some
Mhm.
of them, I don't think so. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. And
and it's a problem.
what I'm kind of afraid of is that in 2026 they want to go back to the 2019 era where you and I didn't like that COD. I mean,
Right.
hindsight, like right, that COD was probably better than Vanguard, maybe. Like if we actually went back and played more of it, I don't know.
No,
Uh,
I don't know. I'd have to go back. Yeah.
because to be fair, like we didn't give 2019 like the full amount of effort that we did with all the other CODs.
No, no chance.
Like, dude, Vanguard, it was fun watching. It was a very fun game to watch competitively. Playing it, there were a lot of times where that game was rough.
Yeah, bro.
But
I see people on here reminiscing about that COD now, which I think is crazy. They're like,
yeah,
dude, I kind of want to spawn back in with the automaton. I'm like, bro, calm down. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Like that game was
But
trash.
to my point with like 2019, that was probably one of the big like resurgence of CODs. So many casual players came back and started playing the game again. Again, got to remember the times that we were in and Warzone coming out too. But you know, everyone was playing so much COD around that time, and regular players just loved COD again.
Right.
But people like you and I guess like old heads or whatever people that like competitive too, it just didn't feel like COD to us.
Right.
And ever since then, it's just been, it hasn't been the same. Like the last COD that we've had that has felt like COD is probably Cold War. And then, you know, it got slightly more refined like later on. And then Treyarch introduced Omnimovement, which again is a good thing. Um, I definitely could rank like the best CODs in my opinion in the past since 2019. Um, and but all of them are like slightly the same. You know what I mean? It's so hard to distinguish some of them because of all the movement and the tax sprint and all that. Uh, I think if you got rid of tax sprint in a lot of these games, it would make it better.
Uh,
That's just like an added movement that doesn't like it's not needed. It's like another input for no reason.
yeah, 100%. And those are all just little things that they could be tweaking with these games to make them better as time goes on. Again, I feel that uh, for the sake of multiplayer and Warzone, Call of Duty really needs to find an identity with a movement that they're going to stick with because, you know, as I said earlier, they're not going to go back. At least I don't believe so. I don't believe they're going to go back to what we experienced, back in, I don't know, when was AW? Like 2015? Was
Did
that
something
when
like that.
something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, where they took a real chance. Maybe we'll have
Mhm.
one of the developers do that down the line. But I mean, that stuff just in general now is way more difficult because of Warzone. But now, because of Warzone, they need to every year try to refine what's being built. I didn't really mind the movement overall, like in Modern Warfare 2 and 3. Like, I didn't think it was horrendous. That's not why I don't like those games.
Mhm.
Um, and then again, with Cold War, or sorry, with Black Ops 6, you know, it was a step in a totally different direction, and I liked it. I think it's great. Um, but yeah, now we're gonna get thrown into a new direction after this year, after 2025, and I don't really get why. It's like most people like what they're experiencing right now. Why change it? You
Mhm.
know?
I think you know, people like that are fans of COD, at the end of the day, realistically, movement is not going to matter to people that like COD because like you and we're going to buy the game and like movement is the movement.
That
Like
is
you
that
have to
is
deal with
true.
it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I guess at the end of the day, the maps and like you said, there's a reason why like MW2 and MW3, like why we didn't like them, like the newest ones, right? There's certain reasons why those games just weren't as good as like older games
a
to
lot of
us.
it being the maps.
Yeah, and you know, uh, d- for me, like I've been preaching about getting rid of tax sprint since 2019, or like no, since the start of this podcast in
Yeah,
2021,
right, right, right.
and we started on Cold War with no tax sprint. So like I've hated that mechanic ever since it was introduced in 2019.
Yeah,
Um, and if they with Omni movement, I think that could just be a base, like you said. I think it should be, you know, normal to be able to strafe like left and right and then run backwards or all that stuff. The dive, if they kept that and then got rid of like diving and sliding, honestly, I wouldn't care all that much. Omni movement with like old COD, I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, I would be fine with it too. It just it's a very intuitive system that they built. It feels good, it's easy to learn, but it's hard to master, you know?
Mhm,
Um, and I like that. That's a skill difference to me. It's a skill gap to be able to get good at that. Um, and again, over the years, I would like to see tweaks and innovations on it, and some could be, big steps that would change the way it is. But yeah, I don't know how, like, again, at the end of the day, I don't really like it, that whole
mhm,
change that they're doing. I think it's frustrating, it's confusing, um, not as, like, a player, but, you know, seeing Treyarch develop this and know all about it, and a lot of us were thinking that, okay, this obviously took so much work, and it's from Treyarch, and everyone loves them, that more than likely they'll stick with this. So to see that they're not going to, that then makes me think, okay, next Treyarch game after that, are they going to go back to Omni Movement? Like, are they going to go and develop on that, or are they going to come
mhm.
up with some whole new system? Um, and I mean, if that happens, and this is the only year, well, I know next year we're getting it too. Um,
Oh, this
but
year.
well, yes, yeah,
Yeah.
this year, yeah. It was, again, it's always trips me up. But if those are the only titles that feature it, I think that's crazy.
Mhm.
You know,
Well,
I
that's the
think it'd be
thing.
cool.
Omni movement was like it changed COD. It I guess you can say tax sprint changed COD too, for the worse.
Yeah, for the worse, for sure.
Uh, but Omni movement should just be a core mechanic of COD because it's not like you're inputting extra things for it to work. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like it's just fluid.
Yeah.
And man, going from Black Ops 7 to whatever COD 2026 is, like trying to strafe like left and right, the speed
Oh,
that is, it's going to be so slow now.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
again, like we're going to get used to it. Anyone that plays COD will get used to it, but like why can't they add that? Like I think if they want to keep all the casual fans, casual players that, they don't want to get destroyed because of the Omni movement because again, I mean, I'm not going to say that's fair because I think it's a skill issue. It creates a skill
Right,
gap, which you and I are fans of. Like, just get better, you
right.
know, get better at the game, whatever. But obviously, a lot of people don't like that. After work, they come on, they just get slammed every day. We had to deal with that, and you know, we're fine. We came out better, actually. We're much better
Yeah,
at the game. But if if they want to make that skill gap smaller, again, I think if you get rid of sliding, diving, and you literally go back to old COD with Omni movement. Now you have to play it's still faster, but it's not as quick. And now you have to be more strategic about things and you're constantly sprinting. Like I don't get why, you know, like I'd be fine with that movement. Like it doesn't need to be crazy. That's a big
yeah.
enough change for me.
Oh, right, exactly. That's enough innovation on the system, already. It doesn't have to be an idea that they're always adding to it and trying to make new things. It could just be, like you said, they strip away a lot. I mean, that's what World War II was. I mean,
Yeah.
bro, we went from, you know, jetpacks, and then they go and throw it all the way back to World at War, style movement. And, you know, that was a huge shakeup. But yeah, they totally changed the way that you think about the game and the way you play it. And it'd be the same with this. If they have Omni Movement right now, and again, they strip it way down to, like you're saying, um, I think it would be a great one. It'd be a great baseline just to see how the actual,
Mhm.
movement is in the game too. But it would be fun. It'd be enough of a change and building off of an idea that I'm already like and I'm familiar with. That I think it would be fun. But
Maybe we would like it more. Like,
yeah, right.
you know, maybe slowing down we like fast games, but maybe slowing it down like a tad bit to where you can't dive everywhere, you know, and slide canceling and doing all this stuff. It might benefit, you know, most
And
players.
the thing too that I would say about all of this is, if there's a system for movement that, again, this stuff's like way above my pay grade, but if they have some system, like again, Omni Movement, right? They have that as their baseline thing that they can use. Why would other teams, like other developers, not want to use that if Treyarch was showing them, or like, giving them permission or showing them how
Mhm.
to actually implement that in their game? Because man, that's so much less work for them. Like, they
Yeah.
don't have to go and use it's like, "Oh, we can just use this streamlined system for the movement. We can make some tweaks here and there, as the years go on, but we don't have to go and completely reinvent the wheel, from year to year or try to draw from like, really old CODs, or just CODs that had bad systems that people didn't like. Like, why are we taking anything from Vanguard or MW3?
Mhm.
Like to me, the movement obviously is a big part of the game, but if they have something like that figured out where you don't have to put a lot of time and effort into it, honestly, because it's already built. That could be more time put towards maps and
Mhm.
put towards, extras in the game, or a good rank play system. Like all of that stuff, I think would get better if they didn't have to spend as much time on that. If they all used more or less the same system.
Yeah, and it's either an ego thing or maybe legal issues or whatever, or it's like, look, honestly, we want to use this movement, but we don't have the time because we're like 2 years deep into making this game
Right.
already, and they can't change it. Which again, we'll never know unless we got some employee here that listens to us and wants to leak everything. Hey, we're we won't say your name anonymously. Someone said, "Yeah, that's a problem. Like the timeline, we don't have enough time to change it." And
Yeah.
they have to stick with this because what COD 2026. Well, it's just weird because Treyarch's going back to back years, but when MW2 came out, they must have been working on this game already, 2026 COD.
Right. Yeah, they
And like
had to.
Omni Movement wasn't, like announced, shared with the public yet.
Yeah.
So you're like gambling on, oh, okay, well, they're not gonna like this. Or like maybe they didn't even know. Like I don't know if these developers like all talk. They probably don't actually and like
I'm
reveal their secrets.
Yeah, I would assume not unless they're like, like a situation where Raven or Sledgehammer, they're like, working alongside one of
Mhm.
them. But yeah, do Infinity Ward and Treyarch talk to each other much? I don't know. I would think not though,
Yeah.
personally, you know. But I could be totally wrong. They could be in talks all the time. And if they
Yeah.
are, then why can't we just agree on like,
Yeah.
you know, like some sort of system to make everything else in the game good?
Mhm.
Because I'll tell you too, I saw this relating to when did this come out? Actually, yeah, it came out today with COD 2025's campaign. Did you hear about this?
What?
Did Yeah,
The
how
the the
this
the
the campaign to this
Yeah.
game, that guy Ghost of Hope apparently,
Oh, yeah, yeah, I did see
yeah,
that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and said that
Mhm.
it's terrible.
Terrible. Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
bro, like,
Yeah.
way to get me hyped up, dog.
Yeah, yeah.
But this is what I don't know because apparently Raven was working on that under
Mhm.
Treyarch, I believe. One, how does Treyarch let that happen?
Yeah.
And two, like, why does this suck? Like, is it because of
Yeah,
a
yeah.
time thing, or is it like they have deadlines they got to meet, or is it just that these people are completely incompetent of coming up with a story? I don't think it's like that one.
Yeah.
Um, but I did see in the article too that there were a lot of people that when they were working on Black Ops 6, a lot of that team that was working on the campaign is not there anymore.
Mhm.
So from the sounds of what that Dexerto article is that they didn't have a lot of people like really working on this.
Mhm.
A lot of people from Raven.
Yeah.
So then Treyarch had to
So
go and take more time and try to help.
so yes,
Which
yeah.
again, it's like, what are we doing here?
Resources and time. Like, it's just hurting them,
Yeah,
like, they can't, put 100% effort into what they wanna put out, and, it sucks because, again, feels like Treyarch is just coming in, saving, you know, these developers, but at the same time, like, it's hurting them because they don't get to put out what they actually want. Um,
right,
so, yeah, I mean, the that guy, Ghost of Hope is I mean, he's pretty reliable for the most part, but he's got some insane takes on Twitter just because, like, he's very harsh the
right,
majority of the time, and I'm like, he's still a COD news, page,
right,
but
right,
a
right,
lot of
right.
it's been very, just bad
Yeah.
the past couple of years.
Well, and that saying that in particular, I mean, dude, that's gotta piss Treyarch off too. just like that
Oh
even
yeah.
coming out being like it's terrible. I mean, he said fucking terrible,
Yeah.
too. But regardless of the language, I mean, man, just hearing before this game has even come out, we haven't seen any clips, anything
Yeah.
of this game. We don't know anything about it. And to already have that as something that these article or these, news outlets are posting,
Mhm.
um, it's just a bad look,
Yeah, yeah. You don't want rumors like that spreading right away and like, all right, so the first thing we're gonna hear is go into the game like it's a bad game or a
Right.
bad campaign, like regardless, unless you're like very level headed and you've played all the CODs, like you can just go in and play it. But most people that casually play the game, they're gonna hear, "Oh, this is a terrible campaign. Maybe I just won't buy it," or like they'll just skip over the campaign. You know?
Yeah, and that doesn't apply for us though, bro. We
Well, yeah,
always play that campaign.
yeah,
It's funny. I was talking to our buddy about this, and he's like, "Dude, I still have this feeling that I have to play the campaign before I do multiplayer." He's like, "I just have to."
yeah,
And I was like, "Dude, me and Justin, the same thing. Have to play the campaign beforehand,
mhm,
because it's like, dude, if you can't do the campaign right, then how's the rest of the game gonna go?
yeah, yeah,
Like, bro, Black Ops 6 campaign, sensational.
yeah,
Game, it's great. MW3's campaign, it's the worst one ever. In
yeah,
that
yeah,
game, I'm like, that kind of speaks for itself, bro.
yeah,
I'm like, those maps, get them out of here.
yeah. The
Um,
campaign's a warm up for multiplayer. Like there's a
right.
trial run. You get used to the movement. You know?
Yeah, exactly. It's like I'm shooting bots. I'm not trying to load in against a bunch of sweaty people.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, but to hear already, like again, I know you and I like COD campaigns. They're fun. And again, when they've got good stories like we had with this last one, I'm totally into them. So
mhm,
hearing this guy already say that it's trash, it doesn't do anything for me. And then I think
yeah,
after that is going to be a continuation, right? Because it's going to be IW. And they're gonna be
yeah,
doing a
yeah,
continuation of, MW3 story,
yeah.
and I ain't looking forward to
Supposedly, yeah,
that.
yeah. I mean, yeah,
That story was hot
yeah.
trash.
Like, what are you gonna? I don't know what they're gonna do there. Like,
Bro, they're
it's
gonna start it off. It's gonna be a summoning circle around the ashes that they threw off the cliff,
there.
and they're gonna
Yeah,
bring soap back and, like, the whole thing.
yeah. I don't know. It wrapping it all up. It's just crazy that we've heard so much about COD 2026 already, and Treyarch is just the savior of these developers trying to do everything they can, but also hurting themselves because of it. Um, and again, you and I are going to try out the games. We're going to play it. We will play these games. It's just it stinks to see one of the best developers not be able to put their entire effort into their game.
Yeah, that's just, again, the worst thing, and I know that pretty much everybody who follows Call of Duty knows that Treyarch's the best, and I think everybody in Call of Duty who's working on the developer side also knows this, and
hmm
that's why they use them so much.
hmm
And at the end of the day, Treyarch's only got so many people and so many resources that they can push out to this stuff. So yeah, they get spread thin, and then they do a job that's okay, but it's always what could have been.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And I get that a lot of casual players like love like MW19 and like want that style back. Like, look, I'm not saying you can't go back to that, but like there's so many more improvements that Treyarch like can help with that they can learn from. And, you know, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people when they talk about COD casuals, not us, obviously, but casuals that play COD are, they just want a very easy arcade shooter game. Like, spawn in, it's easy for you to get like, 20, 30 kills, whatever. Where
right,
it's like the people that play COD a lot, like you and I, we're gonna take the time to learn how to play the game and get better at it, so it doesn't matter.
right.
Like, and also the skill based matchmaking is freaking like taken over anyways. So what's the point? But one last thing about everything, like actual last thing, could you imagine Omni movement with jetpacks?
Bro,
Dude,
that would be
regular
magical.
people would hate it. You would run into like insane demons.
Yeah, I mean, dude, already the skill diff on jetpacks. I mean, I wish they went back to it because it was
Yeah, me
so
too.
fun. Especially now, like playing with a scuff, it would be ridiculous. But yeah, bro, if there was another advanced movement on top of that, bro, everybody would have to be buying scuffs to be playing like that, or you'd
Yeah,
have to be
yeah.
an absolute beast. Like, yeah, I can only dream.
That would be awesome because it
It
would
would be sick.
flow so well. Like, it's
Oh
not,
yeah,
like, stuttering or anything, but, again, I'm gonna go back to hopefully get an Omni movement with Black Ops 4 because Black
yeah,
Ops 4 was, like, I bet if we went back and played it, it probably feels like you're running with, like, cement
dude.
blocks on your feet.
uh,
But if they did that with Omni movement, it's speeding up the game, like, a little bit, like, maybe just
yeah,
enough.
bro. I tell you, I mean, this was over a year ago now. I remember I went back and played Black Ops 4.
Mhm.
I remember I had the SOG and I played on Nuketown. This was, I mean, yeah. So what COD was out? This was, yeah,
MW3.
MW2, MW3 around there. Yeah, you couldn't have been more right, dude. That game, I was like, bro, I'm
Yeah,
moving
yeah,
so slow.
yeah.
Like, I see the guys on the flank and others talk about how this game is hard because it's so fast, like it's so
Mhm,
cracked. And I think we forget about that. Playing this game, you're like, oh yeah,
mhm,
it's a fast game, but it's not that bad. But then when you go back and you play these
mhm.
other titles, that's when you realize, wow, Call of Duty has gotten so fast. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
bro,
and,
you
dude,
play
Black Ops 4 was fast back in the
oh,
day.
yeah, Black Ops
Yeah,
4, yeah, it's lightning,
yeah,
But it's weird because when you watch Black Ops 4, it's still fast, but when
yeah,
you
yeah,
play it, it's like
yeah.
compared to this, it's glacial.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, maybe that's why players back in the day, like, COD was a bit harder competitively because you had time to think
Very
and, like,
true.
build strategic plays, where now it's like, run and hit the hill, like, as fast as you can.
Yeah, bro, if you're absolutely cracked out of your mind now, then you're all set. Like, that's kind of all you need. Like, if you're cracked and you've got, the white monster flowing through the
Mhm.
veins, you're pretty much gonna be a good player.
Yeah, yeah.
You just need people on your team, like CDL stuff, you need people on your team who can think for you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
But if
yeah.
they've got some brainless kid who can play, then you're all set.
Yeah, yeah. But speaking competitive, last thing that we'll talk about here, Major 3 in Boca Raton, not Miami. It was
I
hosted by Miami Heretics, but it happened over the weekend, and we won't talk too much about it, but, my prediction with the Thieves was dead wrong, completely wrong. My predictions with Rocker was true, though. They made it to Saturday. They got bounced
Yes.
Saturday.
Yes.
Uh, but, uh, overall, though, I would say that I I think the first major this year was probably the most entertaining major, and major 2 and 3, like, it's not that they were boring or anything. The matches just weren't, like, that great until Sunday. I will say major 3 Sunday, like, it was actually good games. Finals, like, if you're an LA Thieves fan, like, it was an absolute pounding, like, great to see, but, like, competitive wise, like, it wasn't, so but so yeah, the Thieves won overall, so congrats to Thieves.
Yeah,
Honestly, like,
they spit on
they
'em, bro.
they're the Thieves were due for a win sometime this year. Like, when this roster was built, right, it was built to win. I also wanna say it was built to beat FaZe, but FaZe got knocked out. Uh, Not early, but, earlier than expected, right? Um, and it's not like they got swept or anything either. It was a nail biter for them to get
Right.
eliminated by Miami too, so
Yeah, I mean, what can you say, right? Like Thieves, they needed to win this major, for just I'm sure their sanity and also for the hype around that team, in the offseason being built. And I mean, with the state of Optic being where they are right now, with FaZe getting knocked out early, and Thieves just has Surge's number. I mean, they 4-0'd them in the minor, and then they go and do it again to them. Um, Once FaZe got knocked out, I knew Thieves was winning this. I think everybody did
yeah.
too. Everyone was like, "Oh yeah, there's no
I
chance."
dude, I mean, I had a feeling that Surge was gonna they had a really good chance,
Dude,
and then they played them in uh, winners
winners
to make it to
final.
winners,
Yeah,
and they had a chance to to beat them to make it into winners finals, and then they got reverse swept. And when that happened, I was like,
yeah, it's over.
that
It's over,
that's a momentum that Thieves needed to
dude.
make it all the way and win.
I could not believe that generational breakdown from
Yeah.
Surge. I couldn't.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, dude, I was over here getting ready to be like, "Oh shit, like Thieves, bro. They got smoked." And
Mhm.
they did in the first 2 matches.
Yeah.
And the hard point, I think the hard point was a little bit closer. I don't think it was like, a major blowout, but the Surge was a 6-1.
Mhm.
I was like, "Oh, man, they've got this." And, in the control, I know, Thieves is really good, but still, I was like, "Man, maybe they'll at least, 3-1 them off this." But, dude, they just completely collapsed.
Mhm.
That's why when I was texting you, I was kinda hoping that Ultra would win that
Mhm.
because when they lost that, when Surge got reverse swept like that, to me, they're mentally broken. It's
Yeah.
over. There's no chance they're winning
Mhm.
this. They're not. I would be mind blown if they came back in grand finals after getting reverse swept, demoralized, and they come
Mhm.
out and win. You know,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I
hoping
also
Ultra throw something a little different at them and be like, okay, we got to play a
yeah.
new team here. Maybe we're not used to it with that kid Mercules or
Yeah.
whoever.
I was thinking the opposite where, like, I mean, again, they beat Toronto to make it into the grand finals, against Thieves again,
Yeah.
and, like, okay, they're coming hot, they're ready, right? Like, and for the most part, there are close games against Toronto too, but, like, all right, you know, they choked. It's time to actually, like, close it out this time. Nope. And to be fair though, I think if Toronto won, they would have gotten smoked too. Like the way that these were playing, like they
Yeah.
played lights out. Like, dude, they just speed ran it, and they're talking about the energy of the thieves. Like the whole major, like when they did listen-ins, they're screaming. They're
Oh
always
yeah.
screaming, and where they're losing in major two and major one, when they did their listen-ins, they were so like they could it felt like they're already lost or they knew they're going to lose already based
Yeah.
on how they're calling out, and everyone that's played COD knows, where what we're talking about. It's like, dude, he's one shot, and you don't say where that person is. Like, you're not actually communicating. You're just upset that you're losing and you're going to lose. Where, dude, this I was telling you, they went down 0-2 against Surge and Scrap was still screaming and like yelling at Hydra, and like, they're laughing and stuff. I'm like, oh god, like these guys, they're not phased at all that they're down 0-2. And then when they won the control, insanely quick too, by the way, like they were screaming, and I was like, oh god, it's over.
So, dude, I have to give a lot of praise to Scrap. Man,
Yeah.
he really showed out. Like he obviously played great, but he really showed how much of a leader he can be, and I
Hmm.
think he is for that team.
Yeah.
I mean, exactly echoing what you said. They were down. You'd think, from especially their prior listen-ins with Thieves. I mean, they just sounded great all weekend, but you think that they would get down on themselves and be like, kind of pissed off and struggling. Um, but dude, Scrap just kept them going.
Hmm.
That all the energy was there all the time. I mean, he was definitely the most vocal person in the listen-ins. Like him and Hydra were really pushing. And dude, you need that energy, especially at that level. Like, if you slip on that for just a little bit, that could be, a broken hill, or you lose a rotation, and now you're like still in that pit.
Hmm.
So him just keeping that up all the time definitely motivated them. And I mean, yeah, like I remember when they won that control, they 3-0'd them. You see him, and you could just see how like tight he was, like
Oh
so
yeah,
freaking
yeah,
tense. He's like,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like, damn, dude, like
yeah.
he's hyped
And
up. Like they know they can win this.
oh yeah, and
Um,
anyone that's played ranked before, with a team of four, that feel like you're
oh yeah,
literally unstoppable because everyone on your team's just like yelling and
right, right,
hyping everyone up, and you just don't miss
yeah,
when that happens, and everything's just working out for you. So yeah, what Scrap did was impressive because when you're down 0-2 like that, it's very easy to be like, all right, you know, we're probably gonna lose, but and they're thinking about, all right, let's make this losers bracket run. And obviously that didn't even happen for them.
right.
So, but I will say, Surge, they've been to 3 finals in a row. I gotta tip that, even though they can't beat Thieves. Like there's just something about Thieves that they can't, they have a problem with them. They can't do anything about it. But every other team they play against, they can compete.
Yeah.
And then huge shout out to Toronto too. That kid Mercules, dude, this guy,
Pick that kid up, Optic.
dude,
They
some
need him.
some teams got to get him because, granted, I will say, like, not diminishing anything, he went to a really good team to play because Scrap did the same thing with Ultra 2, and now he's one of the top you know players in the league right now, and he popped off on Ultra. And then now this kid comes in, dude, he didn't have a bad series. Like, I watched the entire major and he didn't. I think there were 2 maps overall, or maybe no, 3 maps overall where he went negative.
Right.
And it wasn't even like a costly negative either. I didn't see him make like any stupid plays, cost of the team or anything. And his comms were like so good. And
Yeah.
he's just doing what he needed to do. And I'm really happy for that kid. I hope he gets picked up.
And he got that call on like what a 1 day notice or
Yeah.
probably day of notice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I feel the same way. I mean, he was unbelievable. That team they should be, beyond proud of what they accomplished
Yeah.
with him on such a short notice. Dude, so when I watched Mercules play over the weekend, there and seeing how good he was, and everyone hyping him up on, Twitter and everything. When I see him, I now am thinking, is this the next like world champion that we're
Yeah.
watching right now? Like, is this guy gonna eventually be someone like a Simp, like an Abizi or a Scrap, where he comes in and everyone's like, who the hell is this guy? And shows out, and now, give it a couple of years, he's gonna be on a top team.
Hmm.
I wonder that. Obviously, this kid coming in playing the way he did, I mean, I would be mind blown, especially with these teams struggling if no one signs him.
Yeah.
But especially in a couple of years, I mean, if he continues to play how he is, dude, he should be on a top team. That guy was ridiculous.
I mean, dude, top 3 ain't bad for your first ever major and professional start too. That's not bad at all. Granted, I will say, would we be talking about him like this if he got subbed into like LAG or one of the bottom tier teams? Probably not. Again, like, you shine as a player because your team, like, there's a fundamental, um what's the word, they play fundamentally right, I guess. you know your team makes you look really good,
Right.
and there's a system
Yeah.
that's the word, system. They have the right system for him. If he went to LAG again, that's when you see the superstars. Like, I think if you throw Simp, Abizi, Scrap, like these big players on a really, really bad team, you'll still see them shine. Like, and their stats will show it. But, not every player can do that. Like, but Merc being on Toronto, I think that was the best, situation for him.
It couldn't have been better. And to your point, I think people still would be talking about him if he was on a really poor team and was
Yeah.
doing that well. But yeah, no one can convince me that they'd be talking about him the same that they are now,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
people come in, they're like, dude, he's never played and he's got third. It's like, well, he's also got
Oh,
these other 3 guys on
yeah,
his
yeah, yeah.
team
Joe
who,
fried.
yeah,
And
yeah.
Kleenex and
I mean,
Insight fried.
yeah, like they did really, really well too. So you can't just chalk it up to that. Like, he's got 3 other people that are, playing out of their minds
Mhm.
too with him. Um, but yeah, he could have been a mega cost on the other side of it. He could have come in, gotten absolutely smoked, and people would have been like, dude, he's, got it on a day's notice. He's never played with this team. He's playing, in challengers, and now he's playing, like some of the best teams, or the best players in the world. And people would give him all the excuses. But
Mhm.
he did everything that he needed to. He showed up and he absolutely fried. I was really, really stoked for him.
Mhm.
All those teams did well, and it's still like it's still tough because the teams at the bottom, man, like you know it's your Cloud Nines, it's your LAGs. I can't believe I'm saying it. It's your Optics. Like, bro,
Mhm.
these teams going into this major four, dude, they have mega work to do,
Mhm.
because looking at the standings right now, I mean, dude, side note, the boys did okay.
They did
Well,
okay. Not
we
what we
not
expected.
not what we wanted, not what we were hoping for, but they got good points.
Mhm.
They're locked into champs. There's like no, I mean, unless they legit die,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
like, and somehow Optic and Rocker just
Mhm,
kill it. Um, but yeah, dude, Optic's in that 8 spot right now,
mhm.
115. Boston's at 180. I mean, I don't see Optic rivaling for 7th. And yeah, Rocker in with 115. So
Ooh,
there, yeah,
and
dude,
I'm saying I'm
30
holding my
points.
prediction. Rocker's gonna make it in.
Dude,
Dude.
I just tweeted out about it thinking that, like, I think Optic will make it,
Yeah.
but I guess that's where we differ. I think Optic will make this.
Mhm.
I think they will make it to champs, um, but I don't wanna sound like a
Well,
total
no, no,
hate.
no, no. I think, I agreed with you thinking Optic was gonna make champs. I didn't think Miami was gonna get as many points as they
Oh,
did because
gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, yeah,
they
okay.
fucked it up
My
because
bad. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I agreed that Optic was gonna make it, but they literally they did what I expected them not to do. I thought they were gonna get, like, at least 30 points, you know?
And
And
bro,
and
Miami's
they
in
didn't.
6th right now
I yeah, exactly.
with
Like, I
185. They're chilling.
I said that Miami was gonna have that 8th spot and
Mm,
Rocker was gonna overtake them.
yeah.
Well, now, like, I'm gonna hold true that, Rocker is gonna take that 8th spot, not because I'm an Optic hater. I just think Rocker, there's just something about him. They have that edge. And if Optic, they wanna make champs, I'll leave it here. They gotta get rid of Skies, and they gotta pick up so like, probably Merc, maybe Merc, doesn't matter at this point. They gotta do something.
Damn.
Yeah.
But I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
That's insane, but you're totally right.
Yeah.
No, dude, I mean, Optic needs to make a change. There, I
Yeah.
mean, I remember Shotzi saying, "Oh, we're not going to change the team." I mean, brother, if that's your team, I think you're in serious danger of not making it to champs. They already are, but
Yeah.
Rocker's
This
looking
is
good. Kenny, that know damn well that's Kenny's
oh,
whole goal right now. He's
oh,
telling that
yeah.
team he is like, there is no way I'm not playing a COD champs. I won that shit last year.
Yeah.
There ain't no way I'm not going to it.
And they're that close against a team
Yeah,
that dropped him. So,
yeah,
again, we could go off about this. Like, they dropped the one player that they needed as a leader, and it's
and
probably gonna bite them in the ass.
right,
So,
right.
but yeah, we're on a time crunch here, so we're not gonna keep going into the optic stuff. But overall, congrats to LA Thieves. They did it, and honestly, they could go back to back too. We don't know.
Yeah,
FaZe could come back and do it too. It's not like they got shit on at all. They just made a couple small mistakes, and then Miami, they took advantage of it. So, but
right.
out of this major, yeah, there's going to be changes. And if, the big name is Optic. If Optic doesn't make a change, then it's going to be a good qualifier for Major 4.
Right, right.
Because if they don't make a run, dude, they might not make champs, and then I wonder what the viewership will be if Optic doesn't make champs. That'd be
You're gonna
crazy.
you're gonna see CDL live stream be like 2,000 people, bro.
Yeah, dude. That'd be
Scump watch party
bad.
is gonna be at 5K.
That'd be bad for the CDL. Everyone's just
Yeah,
gonna watch Scump and Zoomer.
yeah,
So,
exactly.
um,
Now it is interesting, but yeah, like I said, we'll leave it down in the bottom for everyone on YouTube and I think on Spotify as well. I'll have a question there for what we think is the next move going forward into Major 4 because man, there are a lot of moves that need to be made at the bottom for them
mhm,
to have anything. I think the top is going to stay the same. I think that Thieves Phase still close. Um, Vancouver, I think, has solidified themselves as third
yeah,
best, right?
yeah,
I definitely.
mhm,
Um, and Ultra at fourth. And then
yeah,
after that, or Miami throw them in there too. Like that's definitely the top five. After that, who knows.
yeah.
But our boys, bro, we're making it to
We're
champs,
making it. We're
Justin.
making it.
Thank
Yeah,
God
yeah,
we did
yeah.
it, bro.
They just gotta clean things up, man. That's
Yeah, I
that's
know.
what they gotta
That's all
do.
they
They
got to
can't
do.
start off cold. But yeah, like Mike said, if you're on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll leave a poll on Spotify and YouTube. Let us know what team needs to make a change ASAP to, in going into Major 4 and champs.
Right.
So we'll see what happens. We're also on anchor.fm/the COD Casuals. We're on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts,
Mhm.
all that stuff. Um, we also cut up the episodes into short form where we're on TikTok and Instagram. So if you don't want to listen to the whole thing, post them over there, and leave a 5-star rating on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that stuff, because it helps us out a ton. And I think that's it.
I think that's it, bro.
All right, great. Well, thank you, everyone. This has been episode 220 of the COD Casuals. We're your host, Justin.
And I'm Mike.
And we'll see you guys next week.
Take it easy, everybody.
See ya.